This morning, we are getting you ready for Election Day in Virginia. We are just a little more than a week out from the November 4th election. Dr. John Aughenbaugh is Associate Professor of Political Science at Virginia Commonwealth University. He joins me this morning to get us up to speed on the latest in the big races. Good morning to you. Thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, I'm glad to be with you this morning.
Yeah, I want to start with the latest in the polls. Where do candidates stand right now in some of those key races? Obviously, again, we are quickly approaching Election Day.
Yeah, before break, you went ahead and summarized pretty accurately where we stand in the very statewide contests. Abigail Spanberger holds a very comfortable lead. It hasn't really changed all that much as we get closer to Election Day. So I think her campaign feels pretty confident going into the election. Likewise, the contest for Lieutenant Governor, State Senator Hashmi, has a pretty comfortable lead. It's significantly above the plus minus level of confidence. I think the most interesting race, and you mentioned this before the break, is the race for Attorney General. And, and you mentioned something that I think a lot of political scientists are looking at, and that is the number of undecided voters for the Attorney General race has ticked upwards. And this is in reaction to the disclosure about the Democratic candidate, Jay Jones, in regards to some of his text messages. So he's lost support, but many of those that he lost support with, who are likely voters, have not necessarily committed to voting for the current Attorney General, Jason Miyares.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that a little bit more, because what do you make of that, right? Where it's like Jones has lost support, and a lot of people are saying, well, I will just leave that part blank on the ballot. What do you make of that? It's not typically something that we have seen in past races.
Well, if they leave it blank, then by default, they're kind of sort of pulling Miyares closer into the race or making it even more competitive. And I have to wonder what they will do on Election Day. Will they, make a difficult choice? Because either way, those kinds of voters who previously supported Jones are kind of indicating, on one hand, they find his text messages repugnant, and it's given them pause, but not so much pause that they're willing to immediately flip over to his opponent, the current Attorney General. But if you leave it blank, almost by default, you're kind of sort of conceding to the base who already support the current Attorney General. Well, your vote's going to matter more. So it is a really difficult choice for those undecided voters.
Yeah. I want to ask you, in these final days of the campaign, what is kind of the strategy for both Republicans and Democrats moving ahead? Of course, we know a lot of people have voted early already, but in those final days, what is the strategy here?
I really think that for the Republicans across the state, they're going to have to spend significant resources and mobilize their what we in the business kind of sort of refer to as their ground game. What we've seen so far in the polls is that among early voters, the Democratic candidates are being supported by significant margins by early voters. So if you're Republicans, the strategy is pretty simple. You're going to have to get out as many people as possible, and that's going to be difficult. And the reason why it is difficult is that there are so many factors working against Republican candidates in Virginia this year. The most important issue, according to those polled, is the economy. And unfortunately for Republicans in Virginia right now, Republican candidates, the federal government shutdown and the kind of sort of nascent impact of the tariffs have really hurt Virginia's economy.
Yeah.
Virginia's state government relies more than most states on federal government spending.
Yeah, we have just a few seconds left, but I want to ask
Yeah.
you before we let you go, on a national stage, talk about the impact that Virginia's election will have.
I think it will be an indicator going into next year's midterm elections of the reaction of moderate voters to Trump administration policies, and whether or not in a particular state or a particular district, because we're talking about House of Representative elections, whether or not the president's popularity or unpopularity will hurt Republican candidates across the country.
All right. All right. All eyes on Virginia here with Election Day just a little over a week away. Dr. John Aughenbaugh, thank you so much for your insight and time this morning. We appreciate you.